favorite place. Of course, we can also weigh our bears that way as well, but Lucky just enjoys eating his food right there. And yes, they do eat watermelon, and they do eat a lot of other fruits as well. They are omnivores, and only about 10... here comes Holly Bear. She came from up behind the rock den, and she's in a big hurry. She's very focused on Sharon, and she's wasted no time to say, "Where's my watermelon?" Holly's an intense bear. She is a fast mover, and for those of you on the deck, quiet is helpful, especially for Lucky Bear. Lucky Bear doesn't really care for a lot of loud noises, and Lucky is kind of like, well, too many loud noises, he heads for the woods, and then we don't see him for a while. Holly Bear, not so much. It just points out that each bear has a different personality, and that's true. Each wild bear has a different personality, and they have different likes for food as well. Well, I'm glad to see everybody here at the North American Bear Center today, and we have 2.5 natural wooded acreage here in front of you for those of you here at the Bear Center. As you look out on the pond with the waterfalls, of course that is all man-made, but once you hit the tree line, it's all natural woods, and a lot of woods and trees for bears to just do bear stuff. And we do have wild bear food in the 2.5 acres. For an example, we have white clover, ryegrass, pin cherries, choke cherries, blueberries, raspberries, just to name a few, although it would not be enough to sustain them. Someone just asked me right before the program started, what were those animals on the other side of the pond? They are a winged animal. They're 2 guinea hens that have found their way in the 2.5 acres, for those of you not familiar. They don't belong to us, but they like it here, so they just barely fly over the fence to come and be, they're the new addition to our cleanup crew. They seem to show up about every day. So those are guinea hens. I don't know much about them, but they can be pretty vocal. So let's talk about our 2 bears that we have out here. Lucky Bear, as I said, our 9-year-old male from the state of Wisconsin. Holly Bear is from Arkansas. Both of these bears were born of wild mothers, and due to human intervention, unfortunately, well, they are alive, but the folks went about it the wrong way. Lucky came to us in 2007 after spending a little time in a rehab center in Wisconsin, and he was deemed non-releasable as a cub. We got him in July of 2007 as approximately a 20-pound cub, and well, he's now a handsome 9-year-old at 440 pounds. He's really a sweet bear to work with, and for those of you that want to know his size relative to other male bears, he's about average size for about a 9 or 10-year-old male. Now, Holly Bear, she's on the left, and she's still working on her watermelon as I see it. If you notice, they do eat the red or the meat of the watermelon. They don't eat the rind, like most of us as well. They do eat the seeds as well, and the seeds, of course, well, come out the other end. Holly Bear is our southern belle here. She comes from Arkansas, so she's a southern-born bear of a wild mother who was separated from her mother due to a wildfire. She was subsequently confiscated from the gentleman who had her in his home for a while, and was shipped to Tennessee in hopes that she could be rehabilitated, and that was not to be. We heard about Holly's situation in December of 2013, and said, you know, we think Holly Bear would make a great ambassador bear here at the Bear Center. So we got Holly Bear in the middle of winter, 2013, and she's been with us ever since. We make a lifetime commitment to any bear we accept here, and we will be their forever homes. Bears in captivity can live into their 30s. That's a little uncommon in the wild that they live that long, but the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources did document a female born and lived 39 years in the wild. We do have their press release from 2013 with all the details on one of our exhibits. And I'm just looking at our little guinea hens here that are just obviously not afraid of our bears. And what's interesting is our bears aren't that interested in them either. Well, guinea hens, I do know, they are obviously are meat. And people will ask, well, one of our bears are going to attack them because black bears are meat eaters. False. Black bears are not meat eaters. In fact, we don't feed our bears any meat. And we don't feed them fish as well. Those are two very common questions, and they ask, well, some kind of meat? Don't they eat some kind of meat? No fish, no pork, no chicken, no turkey, and no beef. Well, how do they survive? As omnivores, again, only 10% of their diet is required to be protein. And in the wild, a black bear gets that protein from bee and ant larvae. This time of year, you might see a bear digging in a rotten log or a big ant colony, and they're looking for the immature ants. Of course, they may get the adult ants as well, but what they're really after are those immature ants. And there's always that Winnie the Pooh story that says black bears like honey. Well, that's kind of not true. But it makes for a great story, for a kid story. Black bears will attack a beehive and will actually maybe get stung on the muzzle or the ears and face area, because that's the lightest, some of the lightest furred area on a bear. But it's not the honey they're after. They're actually after the immature bees, which is the larvae. Now, they may get honey as a little additional treat, but that's not the purpose for the attack on the beehive. Other opportunities for a wild bear, black bear in the wild, in the springtime especially, is a newly born fawn. When a deer drops a fawn in late May, early June, the first 1 to 2 weeks of a fawn's life, they have no odor, and their threats from danger is to stay very, very still. And if a black bear happens to run across one of them in their wanderings, they are opportunistic and will take that young fawn. But after a couple weeks in the wild, the fawn is able to get up, run, and run away from the bears. We do have two other bears here at the North American Bear Center. We do have Ted Bear, a 19-year-old male, who is in his enclosure this morning. He's decided to take the day off and just chill in his enclosure. And just the other day, he got a new pool, a place to cool off, because Ted is, well, he's semi-retired. We kind of let Ted do what Ted wants to do. He tells us when he wants to get out and take a walk around these 2.5 acres, and then other days he says, nah, I think I'll take a nap instead. So we listen to what Ted has to say to us, and but he will be around for every behind the scenes, and he loves to see people. Ted is the only born and bred captive bear we have, and he too comes from the state of Wisconsin. But I mostly want to talk about our new young bear we just received in June of this year, and her name is Tasha Bear. And for those of you that have been following Tasha's adventures, Tasha was released into the 2.5 acres this morning at approximately quarter to 9, all alone. She was the only bear that was going to be exploring the 2.5 acres, because Tasha Bear, at a yearling, well, she's actually 20 months old now. She comes from the state of Kentucky, where she was found nursing on her dead mother, and a gentleman picked her up, and he kept her a little too long in his home, and of course that's not anything we would recommend you do. She was confiscated and deemed non-releasable. Again, the only options for a non-releasable bear is euthanasia or a forever home. And we stepped up in late May and said we will take Tasha here at the Bear Center for a forever home. So June and July and the first part of August, she's been getting used to her caregivers, getting used to the routine of captivity. And last Monday, we released her into these 2.5 acres to begin to explore. And people have asked, well, why don't you just put her out there and let her do what bears do? Well, she doesn't know the other 3 bears very well, and 2 of our bears are males. And in the wild, a small yearling, whether it be a male or a female yearling, would be very afraid of a large male. So we need to manage her introduction into the 2.5 acres as well as to the other bears, so she doesn't spend the rest of her life fearful of the other bears. She will be here many years with them. But this morning, as I said, she came out about 8:45, and we were having a behind-the-scenes tour at 10 o'clock, and I know many people here right now at the Bear Center were participating in that behind-the-scenes. We had a nice group behind the scenes, and I was doing the talking, and I turn around, and there is Tasha. She came from somewhere in the 2.5 acres and came into her enclosure, and of course, she wanted a few treats. She seemed rather calm this morning, and she spent, like I said, about an hour and a half out alone, and so we decided we'd keep her in today, and we'd give Lucky and Holly an opportunity to renew their friendship. Lucky was very patient with us yesterday as being one of the larger males, so today he gets out and about, and those 2 will be out and about for the better part of today. But it was nice to see Tasha come on her own. She had not been called, but she heard us or smelled us behind the scenes, and she just showed up, and of course she was rewarded with some treats. Well, for those of you that enjoy wildlife here at in the Ely area and you like bears, you might be interested in wolves as well. And keep your wristbands on, your purple wristbands that you got today, because if you have that with you on your arm, you show that to the folks at the International Wolf Center, they'll give you $1 off admission. The Wolf Center is again located about 3 miles from here on the other end of Ely. They have daily programs and have a pack of now 6 wolves. They just recently introduced 2 Arctic wolf pups, and they're about 35 or 40 pounds now, but they still are really cute. And it's fun to watch that interaction as they introduce those 2 pups into the existing pack. And if you've enjoyed your time here at the Bear Center and thinking about coming back, because we are open daily until into October, you might consider a membership, and you can talk to one of our sales associates up at the front desk where you came in, and they'd be happy to give you information about our memberships and the benefits of being a member. And it certainly is a benefit to families, because if you come back just one other time, in most cases it's going to be cheaper for you to buy a membership than to pay admission every time you're here. Plus there are other benefits as well, and the sales associates will be happy to tell you. And we'd always love to hear from you on TripAdvisor, so we'd appreciate you give us a shout out on TripAdvisor about your experience here at the Bear Center. We read those comments frequently, and our goal is to ever improve our facility as well as our educational programs, so you can learn the truth about black bears. Again, if you have any questions or concerns about anything here at the Bear Center, you can look for someone in a red or gray vest or someone with a blue lanyard who would be happy to chat with you about anything that you're interested in. And, of course, don't forget our Northwoods Ecology Hall. If you think you know all about bears, head over to the Ecology Hall, and that'll help you learn about many other things here in the Ely area that a black bear needs to coexist with. Again, thank you for joining us today, and we'll have a behind the scenes at noon, 2, and 3. At 1 o'clock, we'll be back on mic again, and we'll be chatting with you worldwide as well. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on this lovely Tuesday. Thank you very much.